पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I welcome all of you for today's session. Santosh, you can keep everyone on mute.
Yes, Prabhu.
So I welcome all of you for today's session of Knowledge Icosagon series. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 13, describes 20 items of knowledge, 20 symptoms of a person who is in knowledge, or we can also say 20 activities or 20 qualities which lead one to the absolute knowledge. So we have been discussing these qualities from the past 5 weeks, and today we are discussing the sixth quality in the knowledge icosagon, that is Guru-Ashraya, taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. So that is one of the items of knowledge listed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So let's begin. We dedicate this presentation to His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, our beloved spiritual master, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So let's begin with an interesting case study which is which happened very recently in Hyderabad. This is about someone called as Corona Baba. So he was actually fooling around people saying that he has got a medicine for the corona pandemic, for the disease, and he was famously known as Corona Baba. So finally he was arrested and he was charged with the cheating case, and he and his associates were also booked under different sections of the Epidemic Act. But then there were a lot of people who were actually believing what he was saying. So he was misleading a lot of people, innocent public, and taking advantage of their faith in Guru. So we see this kind of fake gurus, fake spiritualists in today's world, especially in our country. You will find a lot of them. So, as you can see in this picture here, a man is sitting on the donkey and he is having a carrot hanging in front of the donkey's face. So, the donkey is foolishly thinking that if I go one more step forward, I'll be able to eat that carrot. But do you think it's possible? Never ever the carrot will be given to the donkey. In other words, those who are such misleading gurus or misleading leaders, they only uh, finally they cheat the innocent people for their own personal benefit. They exploit the innocent public, just like this donkey is getting exploited by that man. So we should be very careful in choosing who is a genuine guru. So that is the whole point. So Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita that you must approach a bona fide guru, take shelter of him. But then who is a bona fide guru? How do we know? So we shouldn't get cheated like this, like the people in Hyderabad. So today's session we shall throw some light on this topic. Who is guru and what is the meaning of seeking shelter of guru? So let's see who is a guru. Can we go to the next slide? So this is an interesting part from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore gives a definition of guru. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. The bona fide guru is he who advises his disciples exactly in accordance with the principles spoken by Krishna. The bona fide guru is he who has accepted Krishna as guru. So a guru means one who is heavy with knowledge. In Sanskrit language, guru means heaviness. So in this context, spiritual master means one who is heavy with knowledge in accordance with the principles spoken by Krishna. In other words, a bona fide guru never manufactures his own instructions, his own philosophy. No, he never manufactures. He simply repeats what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He does not manufacture. That is one of the most primary or important qualification of a bona fide guru. Apart from that, a guru is one who is 100% self-realized, one who is engaged. By his own example, he teaches everybody how to serve Krishna. Therefore, a guru is also known as Acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by personal example, by his achar. So he is a bona fide guru. He never manufactures. He simply advises everybody. He simply repeats, in fact, what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So that is a bona fide guru, and such bona fide guru should be accepted. We should seek shelter of such a bona fide spiritual master. Now let's go to the next part. We understood who is a bona fide guru. Now, why we need guru? That's very important. Now, the Vedic scriptures mention that all of us in this material world, we have got inherently certain imperfections. We have got imperfect senses. Therefore, if we employ our senses to understand the truth about Krishna, about the absolute truth, we will arrive at wrong conclusions. Through our senses, through our speculative mind, we will never be able to understand the absolute truth. Just like a person who is bound with ropes will never be able to free himself by himself. Somebody who is not bound, if he comes and opens him, if he comes and frees him, then he'll be able to become free. In the same way, we need to accept a guru because we have to understand the signs of the absolute truth. So in this connection, Mundaka Upanishad says, Tad Vijnanartham sa gurum evavi gachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. In order to learn the transcendental signs, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. If we accept an ordinary person who is also imperfect as guru, then we will not be able to understand the transcendental signs. We must approach a bona fide spiritual master who is coming in the parampara, in the disciplic succession, and one who is fixed in the absolute truth. Brahmanishtam. Shrotriyam means one who has heard the conclusions of the Vedic understanding from his spiritual master. Shrotriyam. So, just like, as I said, if you take help of an imperfect being, we will arrive at imperfect knowledge. If we want perfect knowledge, we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master who himself is self-realized. He will be able to free us from the material entanglement, or he will be able to free us from the defects that we have. So here the Mundaka Upanishad says, Eva abhigachet. Abhigachet indicates, or this word is used when it is compulsory. Accepting a bona fide spiritual master is not optional, but it is compulsory. That's the indication of the word abhigachet. If you want to understand the transcendental signs, it is necessary that we approach a bona fide spiritual master, and such a bona fide spiritual master must be in the disciplic succession, in the parampara, and he must not manufacture his own knowledge. He must simply repeat what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and he himself must have been realized in all this knowledge, and he must be fixed up in the absolute truth, in the sense he must be himself engaged in activities of spiritual realization. Such a guru is required. So that is what the Mundaka Upanishad recommends us. Going forward, how do we approach the guru? Let's try to understand that. How to approach guru? This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita by the Supreme Lord himself in the 4th chapter, text number 34. Krishna says, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The meaning is, just try to learn the truths by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Now it's very important. There are 3 words used in this connection. How to approach Guru. Number 1, pranipatena. Number 2, pariprashnena. Number 3, sevaya. Pranipatena means submissively approaching. Pranipata means to surrender or to approach in a submissive mood, not in a challenging mood. Number 2, pariprashnena, inquiring from him. Inquire. Without inquiry, you will not be able to get the answers. So you have to put forward relevant inquiries, pariprashna. And third one is seva. Our mood should be that of render service unto him, to engage in his service. Now when we do this, tad vidhi, you will be able to understand the absolute truth. Why? How you will be able to get the knowledge of the absolute truth? Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Because the bona fide spiritual master is a tattvadarshinaha. Tattvadarshi means one who has seen the truth, one who has realized the truth. Because he himself has seen the truth, therefore he can reveal to us the knowledge. So this is very important. So let's say if you want to ask someone how to go to Bangalore City railway station. So if someone tells you, go like this, from here you take a vehicle or a cab and you will reach this point, and from there you have to go right or then take left and then reach that place. Now why a person will be able to tell you like this? A person will be able to tell you right directions to go to the Bangalore City railway station if he himself has seen it, if he himself has gone there, if he himself has gone several times before to that place. He will be able to see, he will be able to guide you. In the same way, one who has actually realized Krishna, one who has actually situated in spiritual realization, only such a person will be able to give us the right directions on how to reach Krishna or how to understand the absolute truth. So therefore Krishna is saying, because he himself has seen the truth, he will be able to reveal to you the truth. He is self-realized. So that is a very important point to be noted here. Now let's see certain case studies from the Vedic scriptures about approaching a bona fide spiritual master. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. So case studies. Number 1. Yes, this is about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was known as Siddhanta Saraswati in his young age. He was a great scholar. He was an English scholar and a Sanskrit scholar as well. He had actually written astronomical book called Saura Siddhanta, because of which he got the title Siddhanta. So he was a very well-read, learned person. His father was Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who himself was a pure devotee of Krishna. But when his son, Siddhanta Saraswati, or Bimala Prasad, he was also called, his original name, when he wanted to understand the spiritual science, his father himself could have become his guru. But then, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his father said, no, I don't want to take you, I don't want to give you spiritual instructions. There is a person who is more superior than me. You have to approach him. And that is Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he was actually an illiterate by material qualification. And in fact, he was constantly chanting the holy names of Krishna. He was constantly chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And he was selecting such a place where no materialistic people would come and disturb him in his chanting. So he had selected a public toilet. So he used to sit near the public toilet and he would chant Hare Krishna mantra because he was a completely self-realized person. He was above all material contamination. So he thought that these materialistic people will not come to this place because they consider this place to be filthy. So he selected such a place and he was sitting and chanting. Sometimes there used to be many rich people, rich men who would come and ask this Babaji, please give me Diksha. Actually, they were not very serious about spiritual knowledge, but they wanted to show to everybody in the world that, see, I have also accepted some Babaji as my guru. So they were not very serious students. They used to come and trouble Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So he used to shoo them away. And that's why he used to sit in such a place where such people won't come. So being directed by his father, this Bimala Prasad, as you can see, the person who is wearing kurta, the backside, Bimala Prasad. Of course, this is a picture of a TV serial that was made based on the life of Srila Prabhupada. These are not real images of those personalities. So I'm just for us to understand. So this Bimala Prasad, who was a great scholar, he came and approached this Gaur Kishore Das Babaji several times, many times, repeatedly. He would go, fall at the feet of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and ask him, please give me Diksha, please accept me as your disciple, please take me under your shelter. And each time Gaur Kishore Das Babaji would simply shoo him away. He used to have a stick with him and he used to beat people who would come to him who were not sincere, and he used to shoo people away because he was actually not at all interested in making disciples. He was very humble. Out of his natural humility, he was actually not accepting any disciples. So when repeatedly, even after being chastised multiple times, even after being chased multiple times, when this Bimala Prasad used to come repeatedly, then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj understood that he was very serious in spiritual knowledge. And he, by the inspiration of Krishna within his heart, he accepted finally this young man as his disciple, as his only disciple. So later, he received spiritual knowledge from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and later this young man, he was known as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he started single-handedly 64 institutions in India to spread Krishna consciousness, called as Gaudiya Mats. And he was also the first person to send disciples from India to England to preach the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, those disciples came back without much success. And it was he who later instructed young Abhay Charan. That is, Abhay Charan was the previous name of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So it was by his order that Prabhupada went to the West and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, and it's established ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Now, from this incident, from this case study, we understand how eager was young Bimala Prasad to accept a bona fide spiritual master. And secondly, even though he was materially very, very highly qualified, and in compared to him, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was an illiterate, but still he accepted him as a spiritual master. So material considerations are not at all to be considered while accepting a spiritual master. And one's eagerness to receive instructions from a bona fide spiritual master is depicted in this particular case study. Now the next case study is pertaining to the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. Krishna, when he appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago to perform his pastimes, he himself accepted Sandipani Muni as his spiritual master. Even though it is Krishna from whom all Vedic knowledge emanates, he is the source of all Vedic knowledge. Still, there was actually no need for Krishna to accept anyone as his guru. He himself is Jagat Guru, but in order to teach by his personal example, in order to teach all of us that it is absolutely necessary to accept a spiritual master, Krishna himself accepted Sandipani Muni as his spiritual master. And within 64 days and 64 nights, both Krishna and Balaram mastered 64 branches of knowledge. In the morning, Sandipani Muni would instruct. By evening, they would actually master that particular branch of knowledge. So every day, for 64 days, they completed their education. And not only that, Krishna personally served his spiritual master as a menial servant. So that also we must note. So Krishna simply did not for namesake accept a guru. He actually acted as a proper disciple and engaged in serving his spiritual master menially. So this is how Krishna taught by his own personal example that it is absolutely necessary to accept the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Let's go to the next part. Now, how do we serve the spiritual master? So Srila Prabhupada says in an excerpt, in a lecture in Los Angeles, Vani and Vapu, there are two ways in which you can serve the spiritual master. Vapu means the physical body and Vani means the vibration. So we are not concerned about the physical body. Not concerned means we are concerned, of course, Prabhupada says, because the spiritual master, those who are acharyas, their body is not considered as material. So although a physical body is not present, the vibration should be accepted as the presence of the spiritual master, vibration. What we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. So here Prabhupada says there are two ways in which we can serve the spiritual master. One is the Vapu Seva, serving the physical body of the spiritual master. And because his body is spiritual, because he has completely engaged his body in the service of Lord, so his spiritual personality completely. So we have to serve him physically when he is present physically with us. But that is not permanent. Vapu is not permanent. Whereas Vani is eternal. Vani means the instructions of the spiritual master. So we have to serve the instructions of the spiritual master, means we have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master and in that way please him. So Srila Prabhupada, he is a bona fide spiritual master who comes in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and he says that he continues to remain the Acharya, and anybody who is serious, who is sincere, can take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, even though he is not physically present. We must remember that it is not, the physical presence is not so important. What is more important is the spiritual connection. We can get spiritually connected with Srila Prabhupada if we read his books, hear to his lectures. There are innumerable lectures available, and we have to hear them and we have to read his books. Prabhupada has painstakingly written more than 80 volumes of books for all of us to understand the signs of Krishna consciousness. So we have to read his books, hear his lectures, and follow his instructions. And in that way, if we are engaged, we will be spiritually connected with Prabhupada and to the entire Guru Parampara. So therefore, in that way, if we serve Srila Prabhupada, we will be able to make spiritual advancement. That is the meaning of taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada. Now, what are the instructions that Srila Prabhupada has given? How to serve him by following his instructions? Let us see that. Now, Prabhupada has definitely given so many instructions Prabhupada has given, which are very important for all of us to follow. But Prabhupada says, these two instructions that I have given are the most important. And if we follow these two instructions strictly, then we actually are taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, the bona fide spiritual master. Number one, chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day. And number two, following the 4 regulative principles. We have already discussed about regulative principles in our previous sessions. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. These are the 4 regulative principles which we have to follow. So Prabhupada says, among all the instructions that I have given, these 2 instructions are the most important. So if we follow these 2 instructions of Srila Prabhupada, that is the meaning of taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And in that way, we can actually please him and we can make rapid advancement towards pleasing Krishna. So let's go to the next part. I think we are done with the session. So anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your queries.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Prasad. Yes.
Prabhu, it was a great session. I apologize for any disturbance occurs from my end.
No problem.
Prabhu, I just have a small doubt, a small clarification.
Yes.
Prabhupada says that the 2 main instructions, that is chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regulative principles.
Yes.
So people like us, like people like you as brahmacharis, as a full-time devotees, they try to serve Prabhupada by preaching his instructions to everyone. But how about us, Prabhu? What is the best way of because Prabhupada says that preach about Krishna to others. So
Yes.
what is the best way to tell about Krishna to others when we are in this situation, when we are doing some material activities? How to tell those people how to preach about Krishna to them? Because even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Yare dakho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. So how can we take that instruction in our daily life?
Okay, very good question, Guru Prasad. Actually, when it comes to pleasing the spiritual master, or when it comes to making progress in devotional service, no material barriers can actually stop a sincere soul. That is one thing we have to understand. So second thing is that, yes, we must try our best in our present condition as much as possible to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. So what is Srila Prabhupada's mission? Srila Prabhupada's mission is Krishna's mission only. So Krishna wants everybody in this material world to become his devotees and go back to Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada has taken up his life's mission to establish Krishna's message in this material world. So how do we serve Prabhupada's mission? Yes, somebody can dedicate his entire life and dedicate himself to spread the message of Krishna consciousness all over the world, or at least as much as possible. If that is not possible, one can be situated in his own position and first of all become fixed up in following Krishna consciousness himself, and then trying to spread this message to as many people as possible in your own way. So Prabhupada says preaching means book distribution. So book distribution is a solid program for preaching Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada himself says that if you simply give my book to somebody, there can be a miracle in that person's life. So Prabhupada's books can actually open up an entire new world to a sincere reader. And if he is sincere enough, he will also come to the point of taking up Krishna consciousness seriously. So all that we have to do is to give Prabhupada to people in the form of his books. So book distribution is a wonderful opportunity or a wonderful way of serving Srila Prabhupada. So this does not require any great abilities. One simply has to have the faith that if I simply give Srila Prabhupada's books to somebody, I am actually going to help them in a big way. So we must have faith in Prabhupada. Prabhupada also says, if you want to please me, then distribute my books. So in this way, we can try to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission in this way by distributing his books. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, Guru. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. And also helping those who are trying to push on the movement of Krishna consciousness by doing some service. That is also a way to serve Prabhupada. Serving Prabhupada means serving Prabhupada's mission. So devotees who have dedicated themselves to push on the movement of this Krishna consciousness will need a lot of help. So all of you can, in whatever way possible, you can also help. Either it could be in the form of your hard-earned money, or it could be in the form of your ability to speak or ability to do any service which is required to spread Krishna consciousness. So for example, nowadays, everybody is available online. Due to the pandemic, there are very, absolutely people are stuck at their homes. So now we can think of how to touch more and more people online and give them this Krishna consciousness. How to connect them with Srila Prabhupada. We can think of new innovations, and that will be a great service to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Anyone else has any other question? Any comments? So, in one line, if we have to say, what is the meaning of taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada or a bona fide spiritual master? Taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master means to abide by his instructions, to follow his instructions, and to serve him as much as possible. So that is the meaning of taking shelter. So in another place, Prabhupada says, accepting a guru is not for fashion. Oh, I also have one guru. No, it is not like that. Accepting guru means you're literally you're surrendering your life to him, and you're agreeing to lead your life according to his instructions. That is the meaning of accepting a guru. So it's a very serious business. So we have to understand Prabhupada's instructions, and we have to follow it. That is the meaning of taking shelter of Guru. So Krishna himself is telling that without taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no scope for making any spiritual advancement. Any other question anyone has got? There is one interesting quote from a book in one of the scriptures called Adi Purana, a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So Krishna says to Arjuna, those who claim that I am devotees of Krishna are actually not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees are factually my devotees. That means you cannot approach Krishna directly. You have to approach Krishna through a transparent via medium, that is a bona fide spiritual master, who will help us to get connected with Krishna. So all of us, we are very fortunate that we have not got cheated like those people who got cheated due to that Corona Baba and other such fake gurus. We are very fortunate that we have come to a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So we have to ourselves become serious in following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, serve his mission, and also help more and more people to come and take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. So that is the way in which we can advance in Krishna consciousness. Now let us chant Hare Krishna mantra 3 times. First we will chant the Panchatattva mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We will chant together. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So now can we display the link for feedback? So I request all of you to please give your valuable feedback on today's session, and your suggestions to improve our session and are very much welcome, very much needed. Please do make a note of this link and provide your valuable feedback. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. We shall meet again in the next session. We will discuss another item of knowledge described by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.